Let's do a live stream. Hello, welcome to today's live stream. Welcome on board. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for joining us. I can see people are joining the chat. It's great to have you on board today. It is the 25th of November 2025. I hope you're all well. People are coming into the chat just now. Channel member Brian. Hello, Brian. Thank you for joining. Great to see you. Fantastic. Thunderwood Underwood. Hey, folks. Thunderwood Underwood is also joining. And Tegan Lee, another channel member, is joining, saying hi, everyone. And HM Fan 2010. Hello, everyone from Ohio, USA. Welcome on board to all of you. We'll just let everybody join in who's coming on board today. It's wonderful to see you all here. I hope your week has been good. It's been a busy old time here in the studio in Leicestershire. I'm still in the middle of doing my online filming course. And it's, you know, sometimes the kiln gods are kind to you and sometimes they're not kind to you. And today they weren't kind to me. I did a whole day's filming of a particular project and put it into the kiln and then popped it back out the kiln later on this afternoon to discover it wasn't what I'd hoped it was going to be. But that's the way it is when you're painting with glass and you're doing kiln work. You never really can tell how it's going to be. Even the best laid schemes of mice and men, you know, they go wrong from time to time. They gang after gley, as we say in Scotland, where you can you can plan and you can kind of make things work in the way that you hope they're going to work, but then the kiln gods decide that it's not going to work. So yeah, we're going to have to do quite a lot of redoing of stuff, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. It's a learning experience, and I certainly say that to all of my students, that unless you're prepared to make mistakes and get it wrong, you'll never learn. And that is really what we're all doing even now as I'm still painting, as I've been painting for many years, many decades. Things don't work out in the kiln as the way you might imagine. So yeah, it's been an interesting day and a challenging day, but that's good. That's what it's all about. We live and learn every day. We learn something new. So let's just say hello to a few more people here. Karen Devan. Hello, everyone from Paris. Hello, Karen. Another channel member. And Yehudith. Good evening, Yehudith. How are you? I hope you're well. Vicky Graham. Hello, everyone. And Petri is with us. Fantastic, Petri. Evening, Petri. I hope you're well. How's your week been? How's your day been today? I'm enjoying your social media posts as always. And Sammy5363, another channel member, says hi, everyone. Hi, Derek. Sam from Massachusetts. Fantastic, Sam. Welcome on board. I really appreciate so many channel members joining us today. And David Jack Fenton is on. David, hello. Hi, Derek. It's great to be able to join today. The Glass Doctor is back in session. Absolutely. Yeah, let's hope there's no elastoplast needed for today's session. I might be doing a little bit of glass cutting, David, so you never know. I've got my elastoplast at hand. But yeah, welcome to you, David. So glad you could join us today as well. Hello from St. Louis, Missouri. Brian says, and Colin Freeds, another channel member, says good evening from Kent. And Louis Carbonneau says Ontario, Canada. Look at all these wonderful channel members. Thank you so much to my wonderful channel members who are joining, and to everyone else. If you're new to the stream, if you've just find it on your shorts feed and you have no idea what this is, basically we do a live stream every Tuesday at 8:30 UK time, whatever time it is in the world. This is the time that we go out to you live for an hour of chilling and chatting all things stained glass. Basically, I am a glass artist. I'm a professional glass artist, have been for the last 40 years, and I'm dedicating my time and energies to helping to teach the next generation of fellow creatives all about the wonderful world of stained glass. So any questions you may have, put them in the chat today and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. There's no fixed agenda today at all. Really, I'm just coming on to just spend time with this wonderful creative community. So please do ask questions, and I'm here for the next hour to try and help you as much as I can with answers to any queries you have or anything that you want to just chat about. I'm really happy to talk about that. Just on the subject of channel members, you may have found that when you were heading into this live stream today, there was a little trailer that came up first of all, which talked really a little bit about the channel membership and the fact that we've had a little change since last week to this week with regard to the tiering system for the channel membership. For the longest time, I've had like sort of one tier channel membership, which I didn't really quite know what to do with it because I wasn't really putting a lot of content into the channel membership until I kind of went to a sort of a YouTube seminar down in London, which was talking about, you know, the fact that channel membership, it runs alongside your main channel, where 99% of your main channel will be free at the point of delivery to everyone, you know. And as you know, if you followed my channel, 99% of what is out on the channel is absolutely free, and I try to make it as good quality and, you know, help and inspirational advice and tutorials as I possibly can. And sitting alongside that is the channel membership, really as a way of just supporting the channel and us spending a little bit of time in a more informal way. So I'll do sort of shorts and members only content for that channel. So after that sort of YouTube forum that I attended down in London, I decided to put on a 3-tier membership program because they recommended 3 tiers. So you have your entry level tier, you join the channel, and then you have your middle tier, which is Derek's channel members. And then the top tier, the premium tier level, was really for all of the content and really sort of special members only content and polls and trying to give us as good value as I can. But what I was finding was that I wasn't sitting comfortably with the idea of having anything behind too many paywalls. You know, I'm all about trying to disseminate as much information as I can free of charge to the creative community. So I reevaluated the whole membership thing, and I want it to be a club. I want it to be something that sits alongside the main channel so that we can meet and talk as more sort of fellow supporters of one another. But really, I wanted to kind of reduce the kind of cost, and I wanted to bundle everything that was in the premium tier into the middle tier. So that's what we have now. So we now have 2 tiers. Your join the channel tier, which allows you to get channel member badges and a shout out on the live stream like this, and then our Derek's channel members, which gives you all the members only content. So there's members only shorts and members only videos and polls, and really it's my way of kind of meeting with you in a more informal environment rather than the curated videos that we have every week or every second week that go out on the channel sort of free to everybody. This sits alongside that. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and getting some members only content, that is the place to go. So that's the reason it was changed. I hope you like the change. It actually makes the entry point for everyone that much more cost effective and easy to achieve. If it's something that you want to get involved with, it's there for you. But by no means is it obligatory. As I say, 99% of everything that's on the channel is absolutely free. Hello from Australia, says Lucy Art Studio. Hello Lucy, welcome on board. It's great to have you here. What time is it with you? It must be very, very early in the morning, I imagine, Lucy. And Penny Mason says, afternoon all from Michigan, USA. Welcome, Penny. And Andy says, hi from Leeds. Hi, Andy. Welcome on board. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Tegan says, Derek, I've been super interested to see projects where the kiln gods have frowned on you. I think it would be really valuable to see how things can go wrong even when you're an experienced professional. Yeah, absolutely, Tegan. Well, basically, there's one set of projects that I'm working on just now for the online tutorial, the enamels tutorial, which I'm working on just now. And so I'm doing multiple layers of glass painting on single sheets of glass, and it is really challenging to do because it's all about getting the sequence of layers right. As you may or may not know, enamels can't be fired face down, they have to be fired face up, and so therefore you have to kind of think about the sequence that you're painting your pieces in, because yellow silver stain is usually fired on the back, where shading and line work is fired on the front. And then you've got copper stain work as well, which is also fired on the front. So there's a kind of a sequence to getting the back stuff done and the front stuff done, so that what you never want to end up with is painted enamels being placed face down onto the kiln shelf. So there is quite a lot of kind of juggling and thinking through the process. So that's what went slightly awry today. It's not that the colors were fired face down, it's just that the colors were slightly didn't come out of the kiln quite as I imagined. Things like copper stain, and I don't know whether Petri wants to jump in on this as well. Yeah, Petri, do tell us. I can see also that you're saying interesting news regarding the Reusch paints. Fingers crossed for the future. Do tell me more, Petri. I haven't read any more news on the Reusch paints. Please put it in chat if you can, and I will read that out, because I'd love to hear what the update is on the Reusch paints. But yeah, certainly with copper stain, it is really quite difficult to predict how the color of the shading color is going to come out. It can come out from a very pale salmon pink color all the way through to a strong red or a strongish red, depending on the type of float glass you're painting on, how long you fire it in the kiln, and how thick the layer is. So I was putting on quite a thick layer of copper stain onto the glass, and it didn't behave in the way that I imagined. It actually came out quite black, and it's that getting that point right where you're putting on a thick enough layer of the copper stain to get a strong result, but not putting on so much that it becomes almost opaque. So it's a learning lesson for all of us, and it certainly was a learning lesson for me, Tegan, to find that copper stain didn't behave in the way that I imagined it would, and it came out really quite opaque and quite dark. I'll try and fish out, if I get a moment, I'll fish out because that glass went in the bin basically. I'll fish it out the bin if I get a second, and show you it on the stream, because it should be a red, it should be a strong red, but it ended up being quite a dark kind of browny color. And then I was getting a little bit of yellow coming out of it as well, which is really interesting, because you shouldn't really get yellow on copper red. You should be getting salmon pinks and blues, but there was a little bit of yellow in there. So altogether, it just didn't behave in the way that I imagined it would. So yeah, interesting, and it's a learning experience, but I will try and dig that out if I get a moment. Yeah, Mel says, hello from down the road. Great to join a live one. Hello, Mel. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we were in correspondence recently, Mel, and you did want to do a live stream, or you wanted to do a meeting, if I remember, some kind of a Zoom call. Is that right? Please remind me, Mel, because I think you wanted to ask me a couple of questions. I'm very happy to talk with you. Just let me know in an email what your thinking is, and I'll happily help you as much as I possibly can. AD Vision says hi from Shipley. Yeah, Petri, do tell us when you have a moment what the news is on the Reusch paints. Fingers crossed for the future. I'm hoping that it's good news. If you do, or you may not know, that Reusch paints have been having problems with their production line over the last few weeks and months, in the sense that they can't get hold of some of the raw materials that they need to make their paints, whether it's bister browns or tracing blacks, or maybe even some of the enamels. And we think it's to do with the export problems with rare earth minerals from China, the problems in America and China with export tariffs, etc. We're guessing, because nobody really knows what the answer is, but we're thinking that might be what it is. And also things like bismuth, which is a lead substitute for lead-free paints. There's a shortage of things like that. So it may be that the situation is improving with regard to trade deals and the movement of rare earth materials back into the United States, so that Reusch can start making paints and stains for the glass market. I really do hope that's the case. But I don't know any more at the moment, but, you know, do let us know if you get the chance, Petri, exactly what's happening with that. Kate says, Petri, I haven't heard. What's been going on? Please don't tell me that there are another of the fallen. Yeah, I hope not, Kate. Jersey 6474. Howdy from rainy Georgia. Howdy, Jerry Z. It's great to see you. I said Jersey. It's Jerry Z. Of course it is. Great to see you on the live stream today. Louis Carbalou says, is it possible to use an enamel with an airbrushing system? Yes, it is. It is possible to use enamels with an airbrushing system. Petri, on one of his trips to my studio, left a compressor and a spray gun with me. So I am breaking that out in the next couple of weeks to spray paint enamels onto glass. Yeah, I mean, I'm experimenting with different mediums. So water medium would be the go-to one to start with. And then perhaps trying some vinegar or maybe some methylated spirits, that kind of thing, just to see what works well. But I'm certainly going to start with enamels mixed with water and see how that works. But it's an interesting thing to work with. Now, Petri says, Kate Lavender, they are passing the baton on to Fuse Master, no longer made by Schilling. Okay, right. And that's news to me, Petri. So, Fuse Master will be making paints? Glass paints? Or is it just enamels, Petri? Tegan says, yeah, it's interesting times in the glass paint world. Yeah, interesting and, yeah, nerve-wracking as well, because what I'm certainly hoping is that production will start up again in earnest, because at the moment we have a real shortage of some of the colors. You know, if you're in the States, you'll know all about it, trying to buy Bister Browns and blacks, even trying to buy some yellow silver stain here in the UK is problematic. Rita Schimmelfarb, who's a fantastic painter in the States, recently bought quite a large quantity of Izawa paints from Japan, and she is posting on social media, particularly on Facebook, that the Izawa enamels is very positive about the outcome of those. Now, I've also been testing Izawa enamels and find them to be fantastic. They are expensive. That's the only problem, because you're paying the transportation costs and the import duty costs to bring them either into the States or into the UK. And they're also, I think Rita was also saying that there's a minimum quantity of 1 kilogram of each of the colors that you have to buy. Now, 1 kilogram of enamels is quite a hefty amount. Then you imagine the shipping costs and of the weight of maybe buying 5 colors or 6 colors. That's 5 or 6 kilograms of paint that's being shipped over from the States. So it's not an inexpensive thing if you're actually going to buy it. But you know, you can buy Izawa paints from Pele Glass in the Netherlands. That's where I sourced mine. So it's definitely good to know that Izawa enamels are good and they are readily available, if somewhat expensive. Synergy says, good evening everybody, hope is all good in your world. Yes, hope is everything is good with you too. Vicky Graham says, that explains why my membership was cancelled. I rejoined. Yeah, Vicky, thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much for rejoining. Yeah, there wasn't any other way other than to simply take away the top tier. And I think you get a refund. Hopefully you can confirm that you get a refund on your amount that hasn't been used. That's at least my understanding, and from where it comes from YouTube, is that if your membership is cancelled at a certain tier, you'll be told that, and you've got the option to rejoin at the new reduced price level, which would be fantastic. And Vicky has now just joined. Welcome to Derek's Members Club. Welcome on board, Vicky. It is fantastic that you're joining us today. And Lucy Art Studio says it is 6:40 a.m. Wow, amazing. Thank you for joining us. Are you just having your breakfast, having a cup of tea, watching this on a laptop? In bed perhaps, I don't know, maybe just getting up, getting ready for your day. Tegan Lee says, Louis Carbonneau, yes, in fact, Fuse Master makes an airbrush medium. That's really good to know. An airbrush medium, yeah, that's really good to know. I'm going to try and get hold of some of that if possible. Tegan says, they're a company that makes enamels and medium and are the ones taking over the Reusch lines. Yeah, in a way, that's what I feared might happen, that Reusch would decide not to restart their enamel making endeavors or their paint making endeavors. Because let's face it, the stained glass community is a very small community, and I think it's a very small part of any manufacturer's market. The stained glass market, you know, glass painting and enamel painting is a very niche area, and I imagine if they're having difficulties in sourcing raw materials, it's very easy for them to just decide, oh well, we're not going to make it anymore, we're not going to restart production. So I can understand that they've offloaded that responsibility onto FuseMaster. So let's hope FuseMaster runs with this and starts the production of enamels, paints and stains one more time. That would be fantastic. Sammy Myers says, oh my god, so surprised about chilling. I'm so pleased that I have stock. Yeah, Schilling is the parent company that owns Reusch. And yeah, if you go online, if you're in the States or if you're here in the UK or in mainland Europe, you will find that there is a shortage of certain paints and stains at the moment, and that, you know, you won't know about that if you have decent stocks of paints and stains. You'll only know if you actually go online and try and buy some more. You'll realize that it's hard to come by at the moment, but let's hope that that's going to change sometime soon, because it's going to affect everybody, you know, not just makers of new work, but obviously the whole conservation market as well. All the conservation studios that are doing conservation work on historic glass still need access to paints and stains and enamels. Petri says, as I understand it, FuseMaster will be continuing the Reusch line of stainers colors. Lisa DeCampa broke the news to the stained glass community. Okay, Petri, that's good. That is really good. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Lisa DeCampa broke the news to the stained glass community, I'm presuming earlier on today, because I've been on Facebook a little while ago and hadn't seen that. So yeah, let's just hope that that is the case, that we're going to see the production of paints and stains picking up speed again. Tegan Lee says the big 8-ounce Reusch jars are less than 1/4 kilo, so that's a huge jump in quantity. Yeah, the 8-ounce jars are less than 1/4 kilogram. Yeah, I think the kilogram was, as far as I understand it from Rita Schimmelfarb's post on Facebook, that Izawa paints and stains and enamels, you need to buy a minimum quantity of 1 kilogram, but that might not be the case for FuseMaster moving forward. I think there'll still be more sort of hobby-sized quantities that will be sold. I'm certainly hoping that's going to be the case. Mel says, I very much look forward to chatting with you soon. Yeah, Mel, I do. I look forward to chatting with you too. You came down to the studio a while ago and it was lovely to see you. So yeah, really nice to make connections with you again. And yeah, I look forward to talking with you. Do let me know as and when it's good for you. Lucy Art Studio says, I am interested in what mediums for screen printing. I enjoy your class in Ely Cathedral in 2023 in painting. Fantastic, Lucy. Yeah, so screen printing is not something that I do directly. Jim Cockrell, or James Cockrell from Halt Glass, is the man to talk to. He is the recognized expert in the world of screen printing on glass. My understanding is from Jim that there is a screen printing medium available. I certainly think that Creative Glass Guild in Bristol sell the screen printing medium. Pele, I think also Pele Glass in the Netherlands also sells a screen printing medium. The traditional screen printing medium that I've used in the past, because I've done a bit of screen printing over the years, is basically pine oil. Now, pine oil is a kind of industry standard screen printing medium for the screen printing industry. If they were printing sort of posters on paper, etc., it would be a pine oil or something like that they would use. And I've used that in the past, and that has burned off in the kiln. Once it's just a carrying agent that allows you to use your squeegee to squeegee the paints or enamels through the screens. and onto the surface of the glass. So I don't think it's too much of a problem to get hold of screen printing medium. But have a look on Instagram at Halt Glass. James Cockrell, or Jim Cockrell, is the guy to talk to. He's very helpful and he's very knowledgeable, so I'm sure he'll be able to help you out in terms of where to source the printing mediums for screen printing if you need to. BC Mendy says, hello Derek, Paul Mendolowicz here from West Hampton, New York, USA. I saw your congrats to Barb and Ed Streeter on their RT RV YouTube channel. Yes, yeah, fantastic, Paul. And I see you on their live stream comments as well, Paul. Fantastic that you're abreast of both Ed and Barb's live streams and mine. Thank you so much for joining. Ed and Barb Streeter are longtime friends of mine, online friends. I haven't yet met them in person. They were talking about a couple of years ago coming over to the UK at some point and visiting the studio, but I know they're super busy, and especially at Christmas time. Ed is a very talented glass blower as well as stained glass maker and painter, and I know he's doing a lot of glass blowing just now for Christmas, glass baubles and all those kind of good things, so he won't be doing any traveling for the time being. But yeah, I follow their channel with a great deal of interest. They do live streams. I think it's is it Monday? Am I right about that? Every Monday night. It's a little bit past my bedtime by the time they do their live stream, but they do an hour's live stream similar to this, where Ed will do demonstrations of glass cutting mostly, and also will answer questions on the chat, very similar to this. They're trying to do the same thing that I'm doing here, which is basically building our creative community, our international creative community, people who are interested and want to learn about stained glass. This is what it's all about. So we're both kind of pushing in the same direction, and we're very supportive of one another and supportive of one another's channels. So RT RV YouTube channel, go check them out. RT is ARTY RV, RT RV, because basically they had an RV for years that were touring around the country and making their stained glass in their RV, their recreational vehicle, which is like a great big camper van. In the UK, that's what we would call it, as a big camper van. In the States, it's called an RV. So their channel name is RT RV, based on their use of their RV to travel around the country. Now they now have an amazing headquarters where they do glass blowing and they teach glass classes, and they broadcast a lot of YouTube good content on glass cutting and copper foil work, and Ed features some of the projects that he's working on as well. So yeah, a big hello to Ed and Barb Streeter from me, wishing them all success and continued success on their channel too. Luis Carbonu says, in Ontario, we have a new glass manufacturer that is similar to Roche. I've not tried them yet, wondering if someone accessed that site. It's called Glass Emotions. They are located in Ottawa. Yeah, Glass Emotions. I've been in contact, Louise, I should say. I've been in contact with Glass Emotions and emailed them. Basically, Rogue Enamels is their brand as far as I know. And so they are making a variety of different colored, transparent glass enamels. And we have that brand in the UK, but in the UK, confusingly, it's not called Rogue. They're called Dove Enamels. But my understanding is it's the same enamels that are just rebranded from Ottawa in Canada. So they're, as far as I know, they make really interesting glass enamels. I haven't tried them. I did ask them. I reached out to them and said, can you send me across some samples of your glass enamels from Ontario? But they said at the moment we're not sending things out. I think they service the American market mostly, but Rogue Enamels I think is the brand that you're looking for, Louise. Petri says, I'm still waiting to hear back from an Argentinian manufacturer of glass paints. If and when I get news from them, I'll pass it on. Yes, Petri, I've seen his posts on Stained Glass 2.0. the fantastic stained glass painting group on Facebook, and he's been posting a variety of images. To me, they look like opalescent enamels. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Petri, but they look very much like opalescent enamels rather than translucent and transparent enamels. I'd be very keen to know if they are in fact transparent enamels. It would be great if they were, because we need to have access to as many potential suppliers as possible. Rogue Enamels being one of them, Dove Enamels here in the UK, and Reusch, or Fuse Master as they will be known. Yeah, that'll be interesting. It will be. Do keep us up to speed, Petri, with what's happening with regard to that Argentinian supplier. What I'm hoping, chat, is if the rare earth materials are problematic to get in the States, and if there's the kind of import tariffs and the export tariffs that are being slapped on this sort of trade war between America and China, I know that the Chinese market, especially the porcelain painting market, is really big, and they do make paints and stains for that market. It wouldn't be a huge conversion to start making transparent paints and stains and enamels for the glass market. And what I'm hoping is that maybe the Chinese might start exporting paints and stains to Europe and to the UK and to the American market to take up some of the slack that there's definitely in the system at the moment with regard to supply chains for transparent paints and stains and enamels. Wouldn't it be great if we had a brand new supplier from China and a brand new supplier from Argentina to join us in the making of stained glass using these particular ingredients? That would be wonderful. PC Mendy says, thanks, Derek. The RTRV YouTube live stream is on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and if the time doesn't work, you can watch them later. They are building a new studio in their garage so they can demo more. Yeah, that's fantastic. I have on occasions watched them live, PC Mendy, and left messages in the chat for them, but it's a little bit late for me. And I have also watched them very often on the replays afterwards, because the great thing about all these live streams, including this one, is that if you can't watch it live and you can't contribute on the chat like this to the live stream, you can watch it later. So it'll always, all of my previous live streams are up on my channel to watch. Sometimes we've had technical difficulties, so it's been difficult to kind of repost a live stream after it's gone out. So you'll find that there's little gaps in some of the kind of lists of, you know, a live stream 1, live stream 2, then it might jump to live stream 4 or live stream 6, because we've had gremlins in the works. If you're following my channel, you'll know that over the years, over the months, I should say, of getting this YouTube stream working. But hopefully it's working, fingers crossed, it's all working well at the moment. We still seem to be broadcasting live, which is great. Tegan says, my understanding is the issue was finding materials of adequate quality more than a tariff import issue. Interesting, Tegan. Interesting. Yeah, I think, wasn't it the frits they were saying, Tegan, that was the issue, trying to get the right quality frits? I mean, I'm not a glass scientist, I'm not a glass chemist, so I have no idea how tricky, and I imagine it is very tricky, to make glass paints and stains and enamels. And if you're getting inferior quality materials, that can be really problematic. So yeah, I mean, I think the problem is, you may agree or you may not agree, Tegan, is the sort of radio silence that there's been on the whole topic. You know, when you talk to the suppliers, they're very reticent to say that there's really any issues, but it's glaringly obvious that there's an issue insofar as that there's nothing in stock. But nobody wants to talk about it. So, you know, we're starved of information, aren't we, Tegan? We don't really get a lot of detailed information. And I know quite a few artists, including Rita Schimmelfarb, have reached out to them in emails to Schilling and to Reusch. And Rita, who's a very accomplished artist in her own right, has said that they've stopped replying to her emails altogether, which is problematic. If you are a customer of theirs and they're just simply not replying to you, you know, that's not great news in terms of, you know, the customer experience. So we are starved of good quality information. Nobody really knows what the issue is, apart from the fact that it's something to do with materials, sometimes something to do with not being able to get hold of the materials. And then what's happened is, what I feared would happen, is that Reusch have decided not to continue. It's my reading of this, and I'm very willing to be wrong. My reading of this is that Reusch have decided not to keep making paints and stains and enamels, but they're passing the buck on to Fusemaster, which is understandable from a business point of view, but regrettable from a stained glass point of view, because obviously, you know, that was a supply supply chain that was for a long time very reliable. Jack says, sorry, Jack. Why do I keep calling you by your middle name, David? David Jack Fenton says, have you ever used multicolored mouth-blown glass in a project? Is there any glass you haven't that's too nice to use or cut up? Yeah, great question, David. Very many times I've used multicolored mouth-blown glass in projects. Yeah, very many times. I mean, back in the day, you had some fantastic handmade glass by a German company called Fischer Antique, and they used to make really large stock sheets of glass, bigger than any of the stock sheets that are currently available, with reams and streaks and multicolored layers of color, like melted toffee and lots of colors. They were fantastic. They stopped making the glass, probably about 20 years ago. Hartley Wood glass back in the day was making an amazing multicolored handmade glass as well. Again, they stopped making it. So Lamberts are the current king of the hill. They make amazing mouth-blown antique glass. But of course, we have a new contender, a new kid on the block in the form of Elliot Walker. Elliot Walker over at Stourbridge, making the most incredible handmade glass at Blowfish Glass with his partner Bethany. And he's doing a glass sheet making session later on this month. It's all over social media. The 29th, I think it is, of November. Pop over and have a look at him live making sheet glass. It's an incredible thing to watch. There's a video on my YouTube channel all about the process. I spent a day, one of the most enjoyable filming days I think I've had. So visceral, so kind of like fundamental, and in the sense of the materials that were being used: heat, flame, glass, sand. You know, all the kind of energy and effort that goes into the crucible of making glass, and you end up with this beautiful product. And Elliot talks about how difficult it is to make sheet glass as well. So yes, I've used multicolored sheet glass many times in my project. David, is there any glass you have that's too nice to use or cut up? There is. The glass that I got from Elliot Walker is in my studio. It's up on, if you see when the live stream starts, there's a ticker, there's a kind of a trailer that runs for 1 minute before the live stream starts. And at the beginning of the trailer, I'm walking towards the studio at night, and in the window, as the studio is lit up, you see this beautiful piece of orange pink glass, which is the glass that Elliot Walker blew and made. And I just don't want to cut that up, because it's a bit of history as well. It's a bit of contemporary stained glass history. It's the first batch of new handmade glass to arrive back in UK, or even anywhere on the market in 2025, made in the UK. So I don't want to cut that up. I don't want to, I want to frame it. It's just a beautiful piece of glass. So yeah, maybe you'll see this sometime soon, David. Who knows? I believe you may want to come and see this glass for yourself sometime very soon. Tegan says, although maybe the quality issues were with supplies, they weren't affected by the tariffs, import duties. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think I probably read that out already, but yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I take that on board completely, Tegan. And Karen Devan says, I will look at these suppliers that you mentioned. Thank you. In France, I can only get the blue transparent enamel from Debitis. All their other enamels are opaque. That's really interesting. I don't know the French market. I know Debitis. I've got quite a lot of Debitis paints, stains, and I have some of the blue enamels. They're great. But you're right. They don't make transparent enamels. That seems to be the kind of the trick is to be able to make enamels that are transparent rather than opaque. Excuse me one second. And it's really interesting to hear your perspective, Karen, that that you can't get enamels other than from a debitist. That's really interesting to know. I haven't really researched the French market too much, and I don't really know in mainland Europe other than Pele glass, you know, what the suppliers are like. I know in Germany they've had a variety of specialist suppliers, but I think the problems are there also, and I've been hearing that some of the German studios are going over to Izawa enamels in Japan and buying sort of large quantities of their paints as well to keep their studios going. David Jack Fenton says, are there more eco-friendly alternatives to colored glass that use heavy metals in their manufacture? David, that's a great question. Eco-friendly alternatives. Well, when it comes to being eco-friendly, glass does use a lot of energy. It uses an awful lot of energy in terms of the manufacturing process. The heat, the foundries that are, you know, generating heat use a lot of gas, and obviously that puts the price up of glass substantially because of our, you know, our gas costs have rocketed in the last 18 months or so, which is reflected in not just the raw material cost but the purchase price of glass. So the one eco-friendly thing that I can point to with regard to glass is that it is infinitely recyclable. So glass can be recycled again and again and again, a little bit like lead. So both glass and lead, the upfront costs in manufacturing the lead into extruding it into lengths that you can make into stained glass windows, the lead cames, is expensive, and making the sheet glass is expensive. But then it's infinitely recyclable. You can recycle it again and again and again. So I suppose in relation to other things which are considered to be eco-friendly, glass has to have some brownie points for being infinitely recyclable, as does lead. But to answer your specific question, are there eco-friendly alternatives to colored glass? The alternative is spray paint enamels. And certainly the European studios, such as the German studios, have moved quite substantially over to using spray paint enamels onto clear glass that are then put into large kilns and fired on before they're made into double glazed units. And that is a much more eco-friendly, if you like, or cost-effective way of coloring glass. And there are ceramic printers which also print ceramic colors like an inkjet printer onto the surface of glass that can be fired in a kiln. So you're not using handmade glass like sheet glass in that process. You're actually just using paints that are painted on. So those are, I suppose, David, those are the alternatives, the eco-friendly alternatives that you might point towards as an alternative, a less energy intensive alternative to using color in sheet glass. That is very energy intensive as a way of creating color. Cindy Dawson 3815 says hi Cindy, welcome on board. It's great that you're joining us today on the live stream. PC Mendy says, I inherited a sheet of glass from an artist who had retired. Gorgeous blue crackle, very fragile. It's vintage Blanco art glass 939. It's not made anymore, is it not? Wow, vintage Blanco art glass. I'm not familiar with that, but it sounds amazing. Blue crackle glass. Yeah. I mean, there are quite a few sort of period glasses still around, and if you go onto antique sites and you go onto Etsy and you go onto eBay and places like that, people are selling reclamation yards or selling old stock sheets of glass they've rescued from panes of glass in windows. Sometimes double glazing companies, when they take out traditional stained glass windows, will recycle them on eBay and places like that. So you can get period glass from time to time on the open market as well. David Jack Fenton says, thank you for your thoughtful answers. You're welcome, David. It's great questions. I'm loving all these questions today. Thank you so much in chat. As I say, I didn't really come on with any fixed agenda today. So, I'm really here to respond to your questions in chat. So the fact that you're firing lots of questions to me is really helpful. Petri says, on eco-credentials, James Cockrell has invested a lot in solar powering his firings. Kiln Care have developed solar-friendly kilns that don't draw power as heavily as traditional kilns. Great shout out, Petri. You're absolutely right. I visited James in his studio down near Guildford, and he was very proudly showing me his solar-powered kiln. My understanding is it doesn't work entirely off of solar power, but it certainly augments the power drain that an electric kiln might have. And also the Glass Museum over in Stourbridge is also trying to become entirely self-sufficient with solar power, firing their furnaces as well. And they've won awards. I think recently they won an award from Heritage Crafts for their fantastic pioneering work in developing solar-powered kilns. So we are moving in that direction, and thank you for that reminder, Petri. We are moving in the direction of solar-powered energy for kilns. As you can imagine, kilns take a vast amount of energy to power up to the temperatures that they do power up to, and especially if you're doing fusing and slumping, you're holding the kiln at those temperatures for a prolonged period of time, many hours, and then over a period of days, the kiln is on and reducing in temperature. So it's using, for fusing and slumping in particular, it's using lots of energy to get that work done. Stained glass painting, on the other hand, is a quick fire up to, in the electric kilns, it takes about half an hour to get up to temperature. So you're sucking power from the grid for maybe half an hour. And I have a 3-phase power kiln, electric kiln, that takes quite a lot of juice to get it up to temperature. But it is only for a short burst, and it's drawing power from the national grid for a short period of time. And our gas kilns, again, are on for like 20 minutes before they get up to temperature. So they're not quite as power hungry as our fusing and slumping kilns. Karen Devan says, I worked in a stained glass studio which did not recycle. They told me that coloured glass could not be recycled. Was this information not correct? My understanding is that coloured glass can be recycled. Certainly, here in the UK, we have recycling bins for clear glass, and we have recycling bins for coloured glass. It would be interesting to know, Karen. I, in all honesty, can't answer that question entirely. But my understanding certainly is that, talking to Elliot, he recycles a lot of his glass, and also you can, with coloured glass, you can grind it down and make it into frit. So if you're doing fusing and slumping work, you can take your fragments of coloured glass and use a glass piston and crush it down into small granular pieces that can then be sprinkled onto glass like confetti and reintroduced into your designs. So in that sense, coloured glass can be recycled. So yeah, interesting question, Karen. It would be nice to kind of get a little bit more feedback from anyone in chat who can tell me whether coloured glass can truly be recycled in the sense that we normally think of. My understanding is that it can be, but I definitely will be corrected by anyone who has more information on that subject. Karen Devan says, now that I am in my own studio, should I be recycling? Yeah, absolutely, Karen. Try and separate your glass, your coloured glass from your clear glass, and try and separate your lead work as well. So you're saving, your fragments of lead. I've been saving lead for decades, for 40 years, and taking it every now and again down to a scrap merchant. So they weigh the scrap lead in, and you get a sort of resell or a price for providing the lead scrap to the scrap merchant, and they give you a sum of money back, and that varies with the metal exchange. So sometimes you get more, sometimes you get less. Depends on the cost of materials, because the price of materials varies. There's a stock market for material costs and lead costs that goes up and down all the time. So it does vary as to what you'll get when you come to recycle your lead, but definitely do make a habit of having separate bins if you can for your lead work and for your coloured glass work, and recycle wherever possible. Have a chat with your local authority wherever you are, Karen, and see what their policy is on recycling colored glass and recycling clear glass. Every country and every region is different. So again, you're going to have to make connections with your local refuge authority or rubbish clearing recycling authority to find out what their policy is on that. David says, your video visiting James inspired me to go down and visit him. Fantastic, David. That's brilliant. I take it you've been down to see him. In fact, I think I recall. Yeah, I think I've seen a post where you have been down to see him. Great setup he has, hasn't he, David? Fantastic. Studio at the bottom of his garden, and yeah, I mean, I have a huge amount of time for Jim. He's really kind of innovative in his use of screen printing as a medium, and he's winning awards and doing a lot of teaching as well here in the UK and in mainland Europe and in the States. So he's putting himself out there, spreading the gospel, spreading the good news about using colored glass in new and exciting ways. Lewis Carbonu says, are they available in Canada? I'm not quite sure what that is referring to, Lewis. PC Mendy says, I collect my scraps and bring it to a shop that does mosaic work. I barter the box for a couple of sheets of glass. Great stuff. Yeah, good news. What a good shout out, PC Mendy. Yeah, taking it to a mosaic workshop. So yeah, mosaics will use your scrap colored glass, your scrap mirror as well. There's yeah, Anita I can't remember Anita's surname now. She does stained glass. What is Anita Hisami on YouTube, on Instagram, does a lot of fantastic stained glass, and she does mosaic work as well, and she uses her fragments of glass and mirror and opalescent glass in her mosaic work as well. So yeah, thank you so much for reminding me about that. Mosaics can recycle your colored glass as well. I love the idea of bartering a box of scrap glass for a couple of sheets of new glass. That's recycling done properly. Well done, PC Mendy. That's great news. Petri says, in the past, I've passed on my colored glass cullet to potters who melt it into their ceramics. Yeah, so as you can see, chat, there are multitudinous different ways of recycling colored glass, and it's great, chat, that you're coming up with all of these fantastic suggestions to recycle this wonderful material, glass. Glass is pretty much infinitely recyclable. You can melt it down to a molten state and recast it again. Obviously, you're going to have some colored metals in a lot of the colored glass, and so that's going to infuse into the new batch of glass as well. So again, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a glass chemist. I can't really tell you the ins and outs, the finessed details of how you recycle colored glass, but I know that it can be in certain circumstances, some of which have been highlighted today in chat. Synergy says, Jim did a class in Edinburgh on screen printing. It was great. No chance you could come up, Derek? Well, there is a chance. There's always a chance. There's always a chance. Yeah, I mean, I at the moment, I'm really kind of full steam ahead trying to get this online course out. And yeah, there's lots of other things I want to do besides that, and traveling and teaching further afield is definitely one of those things that I'd love to do. I'd love to come up to Scotland. And maybe do a class up there. That would be a fantastic thing to do. So let me just change the subject slightly, and just for my American colleagues, you might be interested, if any of you are involved with the Stained Glass Association of America, this magazine here, the Stained Glass Quarterly Magazine, the summer issue 2025, is at the printers just now. I think it's being printed out at the moment. So this and there's an article on my work here coming out in the next little while. So I just realized that there was no sound on when I was showing you that, but basically it's a little bit of a scoop. Hot off the press is the Stained Glass Association of America is publishing their latest magazine, the Summer 2025 edition. It's at the printers just now. It's going to be posted out next week to their many subscribers around the world, and you'll find 2 articles written by me in that renowned magazine. One on really reflecting on the life of Brian Clark. So Brian Clark, who passed away earlier on this year, they asked me to write a piece on him. So there's a piece in there on Brian Clark, and there's also a piece on my work. And the work that I'm doing in terms of this channel here, where we're promoting stained glass to the next generation of fellow creatives. They have got behind the work that we are collectively doing to pass on the skills to the next generation. So that article is in that excellent magazine. So if you're a subscriber to the Stained Glass Association of America, you'll be getting that magazine through. I'll be posting a PDF of the article on my social media site as well. I just need to make sure that I'm posting it at the right time. I don't want to steal the thunder of the Stained Glass Association of America and post my article before it's got to their audience members first. But stay tuned, that article will be posted on my social media feed soon, and it really talks about how I got involved with stained glass. You know, the fact that my very first encounter with stained glass was in a Scottish chapel up in the Highlands of Scotland when I was probably about 7 years of age, and in our local church, an Episcopalian church in the Highlands of Scotland, I walked in and saw this amazing stained glass window, and I had no idea who it was by, but the article goes on to identify who the window was by, and that started the journey, the fascination that I had with color and with light and what it does to your eye, to the back of the retina of your eye as you're looking at glass. This wonderful kind of transcendental kind of experience that you can have. And if you love stained glass and you've been to certain buildings, you'll know what I'm talking about. This Brian Clark used to coin the phrase transluminescence, which is the most beautiful term to describe the luminous quality and the transcendent luminous quality that glass has. And it's a transportive effect. It takes you out of yourself into another realm, and that happened with me when I was young and I was looking at this amazing stained glass in my local church, and that really started my fascination. I had no idea that you could still make stained glass. I just thought it was an old religious form of art. I didn't really know it could still be made. So that article goes into a lot of detail about my early beginnings with stained glass, and then moves on to teaching and sort of has examples of different projects. So it gives you quite a little background on the history that led up to the point where we are now, where we are a wonderful international community of fellow crafters, fellow creatives working together to promote stained glass to the next generation. And it is great that we are doing this collectively. This is what it's all about, guys, that we are collectively sharing our love for stained glass to the next generation. Brian says, I joined the SGAA a week ago. I can't wait to read your article. Brian, that is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and thanks for all the correspondence that we've been having together, and your plan for next year. I won't divulge exactly what it is on this chat, but I know you've got big plans for something next year, which sounds really exciting, and I will stay tuned and look with anticipation as to how that develops. But yeah, the Stained Glass Association of America is a very renowned organization that does a lot of work for the education of stained glass in the States and gives bursaries and travel scholarships to young creatives to go and study at different studios and to do courses, etc. So they do amazing work. Louis Carbonneau says, congratulations, Derek. It's an excellent magazine. Thank you so much, guys. It is now 9:30. So we've been broadcasting for an hour. I'll stay on for another 5 minutes. Do we have any more questions? Anything else in the chat that you'd like me to answer for the next 5 minutes? I'm very happy to answer your questions, and thank you to everyone who has joined the stream today. It's been wonderful to get your feedback. This is what it's all about. We're here to commune together for an hour using this wonderful technology of the internet to cross continents and to cross time zones and to reach out to one another to share our love for stained glass. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being part of this live stream today. We will be live again next Tuesday at 8:30 UK time. It would be great to see you here. Thank you to everyone who's been part of the live stream today. I'm going to leave you now with a little trailer for our glass challenge. If you're familiar with our glass challenge, you'll know that we do the star challenge and the big hole challenge as well. So do keep sending me in your glass challenges on social media. Tag me on social media when you put them out on Instagram or on Facebook, and if I see them, I will repost them on my channel as well, so you get a little bit of extra shout out on my channel, as well as celebrating your own work as well. Jerry Z says, how do I upgrade? So Jerry, if you go onto my homepage on my YouTube channel and click on the members link or the join link, I think you can upgrade your membership from join this channel to Derek's channel members. That would be the way to do it, by having a look at the membership tab. My understanding is, Jerry Z, and again I'll have a look into that more, but by going onto the home page and clicking on the join button again, if you can find it, you can upgrade from join the channel to Derek's channel club members. HM Fan 2010 says, thanks Derek, have a good day. Lucy says, thank you all. And Thunderwood Underwoods, bye y'all. Thank you Derek, thank you to you too, Thunderwood Underwood. See you soon guys, love you all, have a good week, and I'll talk to you next